This is Pat Soundbytes Unplugged. Unplugged. The podcast where all the artists go to tell it as it is. Careers, music, tours, and more. And here's your host, the man that refuses to eat squid, Pat Calamari.
Pat Calamari here, host of Pat Soundbytes Unplugged podcast. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope you're wearing your mask. Hope you're being safe. We are all in this together. The sooner we get this air cleared out, maybe it'd be nice to get a vaccine developed and things maybe can get back to, well, what was the normal reality. I don't know if we're ever going to find that. Anyway, thanks for supporting me, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube, whether you're following me on Instagram, Pat's IGTV, or for my Zoom chats, or right here on my podcast, Pat Soundbytes Unplugged, which over 11,000 downloads, and I can't thank you enough, and that's worldwide, with the Republic of France being my number one country, go figure. But I take it. I love you people in France. Love it. Thank you very much. And don't forget, thank you for supporting me on WBXO, Classic Rock Redefined on Sundays, Eastern Standard Time. Well, I can't believe we are up to episode number 80 from my Pat Soundbytes Unplugged podcast. And it's a special edition as I brought in my colleague, Mr. John Bastone. John has his show on Tuesday nights called Jangle Time. John's been at this for quite a while. And John's a big fan of this band, and particular this frontman who we got a chance to talk to. And it's all good. John knows the music. John knows the history. John's seen the band in the 80s. And I thought it would be really cool to bring in John to join me, to bring in some additional flavors and stuff like that. I don't know about flavors, but different ideas and concepts and maybe different questions. So it's all good. And we're talking Fee Waybill of the Tubes. Fee has recently released his third solo album, first one in 24 years, produced by pop star, singer-songwriter, and a great friend of Fee's, Mr. Richard Marx. You remember Richard. And actually, Fee had produced 3 of Richard's solo albums early in the 90s, and then Richard reciprocated with Fee, so these guys go back a long time, and they're very, very close friends, as you will hear on the interview. All good stuff. I will share, Fee did talk about the Tubes working on a new album, and between Fee's incredible vocals, which sound better than ever, and he says the band is sounding, the Tubes, sounding better than ever. We're looking forward to new Tubes. That would be really cool. And of course, we're looking to see Fee and the band back on the road again. So, episode number 80 with Fee Waybill of the Tubes. Go out, please, and buy this album. Fee Waybill Rides Again. And it's a rock album. It's all rock, even though you think Richard Marx more of a pop singer, and that's his style. This is, trust me, guitar-driven rock. This isn't like She's a Beauty, more of a kind of rock or a popish thing. It's all rock, and it's all very good stuff. You will not be disappointed. If you are a fan of the Tubes, and if you are a fan of rock and roll, and I'm talking guitar rock and roll, and a fan of Fee's, you are going to be certainly impressed. So please go out and buy the album. It is available on all digital streaming sites. Go check it out. As always, live, love, and laugh a lot, because life is way too short. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know your comments. Sit back and enjoy. Fee Waybill with my man, John Bastone, and I.
Hi, everybody. This is Fee Waybill of the Tubes, and you're listening to WBXO, Classic Rock Redefined.
WBXO Classic Rock Redefined in conjunction with Pat Soundbytes Unplugged podcast. Such an honor today for Pat and John having the incredible singer-songwriter and the frontman of the great band, The Tubes, Mr. Fee Waybill today from California. How are you, Fee?
I'm pretty good, you guys. How about yourself?
Pretty good.
Both of us.
Good to hear you out there. Good to hear you.
Very. Go ahead, Fee. I'm sorry.
I was going to say we're locked down again here in California.
Yeah,
I'm pulling weeds in the backyard in my spare time.
It's got to get done sometime, right?
Yeah.
Well, Fee has released an album, his third solo album, on May 19th, Fee Waybill Rides Again, produced by Richard Marx, which was really cool. And I know you and Richard have produced albums for each other back and forth, but when I think of Richard Marx, Fee, I'm thinking, all his hits, and Richard's more of a popish guy, and I didn't know what to expect, but this album truly rocks. This is guitar driven. This is a rock album at its finest. Not even close to, in my opinion, I don't think it's near a pop album whatsoever. And I think you really hit it out of the park, starting with your first track, Faker, which really sets the tone of the album.
Well, thank you. You're right. Faker was the first song we wrote together, and that was back in 2013, 14. That was about 6 years ago when Richard lived in Chicago, and we used to. He had a studio in Chicago, and we used to. I used to go out there. I used to go to Chicago every summer, and he had a cabin. His family had a cabin up in Minocqua, Wisconsin. And, Richard has 3 sons, and the Marx brothers, and I'm the godfather to the boys. And so every summer we would take a trip, and we would drive up from Chicago up to Minocqua and spend a week at the cabin and, just do guy stuff, go fishing and go horseback riding and go go-kart driving and just have a great time. And so the boys kind of grew up, and they didn't want to go, fishing anymore. But I continued to go to Chicago every summer just to see Richard and to hang out. And one summer, he had a full-on studio there in Chicago, and he said, dude, I wrote this lick, man, and he said, it's so rock, and it's you, and he said, I want to write this song, and I said, oh, okay, and we had no idea of doing another solo album. At that point, I hadn't done a record for
1996, I think, is the last one.
Yeah, for 17 years or something, I hadn't done a solo record, and so I said, okay. And so we went in the studio, and we, Brandon, one of his oldest son, played drums, and we put it down, and he said, this is really cool, and I wrote the lyrics, and I sang the vocal, and he goes, let's do a solo record.
So Faker was the impetus for the album. That started the whole thing.
Yeah, that started the whole thing, and I just went, okay, great, let's do it. Let's do a solo record. And so we over the next, I guess, few months or year, I went back and we recorded 3 more songs. There was originally 4 songs that we started with. That one, Promised Land, Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, and How Dare You. And so we recorded those 4 tunes, and then the whole thing kind of got set aside and put on the shelf, and a lot of things came down, and we kind of never continued for about 4 years. We didn't do anything, and Richard's life was in flux, and he ended up getting divorced and moving to California, and the boys grew up, and the boys were doing their own thing, and so the whole thing kind of just came to a crashing halt. And so, every once in a while, and we still talk constantly. I mean, he's my best friend and my little brother, and we over that time span, he would say, "Well, let's get back to doing your record." And okay, great, I'm around. And then we'd set it aside, and then he would do another record, and then he would go on tour, and then the Tubes would go on tour, and then back and forth, and then I would get back together with my wife, and then we'd break up again, and then I'd write another sad song, and then
life happens.
we'd break up again, and then so about a year ago, it's been a year. It's been maybe a year and a half ago. I had reunited with my wife again and was happy, and Richard, married Daisy Fuentes, and he was happy, and everybody, the boys moved to California, and everybody was happy. And he said, "Okay, let's do it. Let's, I'm ready. Let's finish your record." And I went, "Go, great, let's go." And so we started booking time, and we started, compiling music and going, trying to find track, one of the tracks, like Say Goodbye was a track that I had written for Richard, and he never put it on a record. And he
recorded it but never put it on a record.
Right, he recorded it, he did the vocal, and he never put it on a record, and it kept getting put aside, and I had it on my computer, and I'd sit there and listen to my iTunes, and play the song again and again and again. I went, "My God, this song is so great." And I told Richard, I said, "Man, this makes me cry. Every time I play this song, I cry." And I said, "I want to do this song." He goes, "Okay, fine. Let me just hit delete on my lead vocal, and I will."
So you use the same track.
We used the same track.
Oh,
we used the track that he recorded for himself. And I went in and we redid the vocals and the backgrounds, and I sang it, and God, it's such a great song, and the same thing with the only song on the record that I didn't write the lyrics to, which is Still You on the Inside, was a track that Richard and Chad Kroeger from Nickelback wrote.
Right, I had read that. Yep.
They wrote it for Daughtry, and and Daughtry said, "No, I don't want to do it." And Richard sent me the track, because he always sends me, whether it's for me or for him or for somebody else, he always sends me everything he's writing, and I put it on my iTunes, and that was another track. Every time I opened my iTunes, I'd play that track, and this was with Chad singing, and Chad is such a great singer, and I, for years I thought, no, I can't beat his vocal. He's just got such a great voice, and so that when we were looking for songs, I said, "Richard, I want to do Still You on the Inside." He goes, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, I know. I said, "I probably can't beat Chad's vocal." And actually, Richard did it. Richard did the track with his vocal as a bonus track on a couple records ago. I can't remember which record it was on. Emotional Remains, maybe. It was a bonus track, and I said, "Man," he goes, "Well, it's really high," and both of us had trouble singing the out chorus when he jumps up to the high notes, and I said, "Well," he goes, "You sure you want to do this?" He goes, "It's really high." I went, "Okay, I get it, but I want to try it. Let's just try it." And so there's a little studio in town. A little like one room, it's as big as my bedroom. It's like a vocal booth, but it's really warm and really, it's really comfortable, and this guy Joel Numa, who runs it, is a really good engineer, and he's really, really fast. And Richard likes it. So we went in there and we put the track down, and he goes, "Okay, well here's the high. It's really high." And I said, "Yeah, you told me that. I can do it." And so we put the track down, and I did it. I sang the high notes. I was, bleeding from the neck when I was doing it, but it came out great. And it's still. I mean, people. The response. The response I've gotten on the record has just been incredible. It blows my mind. But people say, "Oh, that's a country track. That's sound like a country track to me." And I just went, well,
diversity is always a good thing, is it not? Especially in the modern world, right?
Pardon me?
Diversity is a good thing, isn't it? So
yeah, absolutely.
And a great song means different things to different people. Whatever the listener gets out of it, that's what's important, right?
I agree.
You may feel a certain way about one track, and the listener may get a different thing out of it. So whatever way they respond to it, that works for everybody, right?
I mean, I'll go with country. We wrote.
Yeah, that's what I meant, right?
Yeah, we wrote a song a couple of years ago. We wrote a song for a country band called Emerson Drive, and Richard and I wrote a single for them that called "I'll Be the Last One Standing," and it went to number 17 on the country chart, and so. I'm good with country.
Especially if the royalty checks come in for the writing the song, right?
Yeah. So anyway, we the songs came, they all kind of came in different ways, and the ones and naturally, there's got to be some kind of social rant. Like Promised Land on the record, which I wrote kind of in that first session early in 13, 14, about the real estate crash and the Madoff freak out and the,
I love the line, the rich get rich.
Somewhere, and I don't even remember where. And then it's interesting to put it next to the other song, the kind of sarcastic, Man of the World is total sarcasm about the way people are so, infected with social media. Oh my God. It's just,
I guess I like the sarcastic stuff. That was probably my favorite track of the album. I love that one, and I love the other track you didn't mention yet was Meant to Be Alone. I think those are my favorite two tracks on the album. I love.
Oh, thank you. Meant to Be Alone was the last track that we wrote, and that was another one. He had sent me the music for it, and one night, after way too many drinks, when I was living alone, and we weren't, my wife and I, Elizabeth, were not back together, and I was just, feeling sorry for myself.
Right. Well,
and going, okay, maybe I was meant to be alone. And,
well, when you guys mentioned that you were both having relationship issues, it originally went right to my mind. Oh, that must be where that song came out of. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, let me jump in with a question. If you're now, what for our listeners, what separates a Waybill album from a Tubes album? Could you have imagined these being Tube songs, or were these? Do you do something different when you're trying to create a solo album as opposed to when you're writing for the Tubes? Or
well, a couple of them I could see as a Tube song. Yeah, for sure. Especially Faker, because it's so rock and it's so guitar driven.
No doubt.
And
it's an obvious lead track.
Yeah. And I'm a lyricist, and so if Roger Roger Steen sends me a track, it's going to be a Tubes track. It's not, in fact, he just sent me another track. We've been working together lately. Roger and Prairie they live up in San Francisco, and they went into the studio and did some, basic tracks, and are starting to send me songs. So I've written 2 already, and I'm working on a 3rd one with Roger. And
is there potentially a band album in the works too down the road?
Well, there is potentially a band album in the works, and
nice.
It's even more difficult to write with those guys because everybody lives in a different city, and it's hard. And but we're working on it, and like this record, this record took 7 years, and so it's God knows how long it'll take for a Tubes album. Maybe 20 years. I don't know. I don't really know. But right now everybody's kind of sitting around twiddling their thumbs, and
we do have idle time. Just about all.
We do.
Right now.
We do have and and I think that the fortunate thing here on my record is, we finished. Like I said, about a year and a half ago, Richard and I said, let's just finish this off. And we, here and there, write, work, record, and then we finished in January, February of this year we finished. And thank God, because if we were still trying to do this now with the pandemic, it would be impossible, to get in the studio and what? You're going to sing the lead vocal wearing a mask? And so but there might be a song in that, right? We finished right in end of February, and I started working on, and we sent it off to Matt. Matt Prock is a young kid from Chicago who is just brilliant, and he's such a good. I was so fortunate to work with so many great players on this record. It's just so good, and the guys from Richard's band, Why Not and Brian, are great, and Matt Scannell is great, and we did that last track, Meant to Be Alone, with those guys, with Richard's band guys, and we got lucky. This was never, it wasn't planned to come out now. In fact, people were telling me, oh no, you shouldn't release it now because the music business is so locked down and there's nothing happening. And I went, yeah, but everybody's at home doing nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally disagree with that. People are thirsty for new stuff right now. There's no shows, so what else do we have? People are thirsty for new music.
Yeah, they want, exactly. And I told my manager, I said, no, Jonathan, his name is Jonathan Wolfson, and he's a brilliant guy. And I said, Jonathan, we can't wait around to try to get some record company to bite on this or go with some Italian record company or I said, no, let's just do it. I'll put it together. I know a guy at a manufacturing company. He'll make CDs for me. I know nobody's going to buy CDs, but I don't care. And I got a friend of mine working on, putting together my whole social media platform and, Spotify and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And because I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy in Man of the World. I'm not. I don't post. I don't tweet. I pretty much don't do any of that. I don't.
Well, even though there's only a few, when you ask that question, who's the person that's going to buy the CD? Me. I'll still buy the CD.
Absolutely.
Well, and Prairie Prince did the art. The one guy in the Tubes that helped me with this project was Prairie, and we put that whole thing together with him. And the CD is brilliant, and we did a lyric book, and Prairie put a great package together. And but like I said, I'm not that guy. I'm not that social media guy. No. And Richard is brilliant at it. Brilliant, the most brilliant and the funniest tweeting guy I have ever known. And he's really been helpful, with his Instagram following and tweeting and all his helping to get the record out there. And So I'm really grateful for that. But I think we just kind of, you know, I hate to say that this pandemic would help, but it just kind of hit at the right time, and there's no diversion. There's no 40 concerts to go look at, or, you know, and now it's a, you know, I mean, God, I hope it all comes back together. You know, I hope they can figure this out and find a vaccine, and I can get back on the road. And in fact, Richard and I, before this whole thing happened, when the record got finished, you know, Richard said, let's do some live solo shows. And there's a little place in LA called the Coronet Theater, which is a 250-seat theater with a stage and a proscenium, and I've seen a bunch of comedians there. And the guy who owns the place is a fan of me, and I had actually talked to him, and I said, I want to do a solo show at the Coronet in May. And Richard said, you know, I'll get my band together, and we'll learn your tunes, and we'll do a Fee Waybill solo show. I've never done a solo show before, ever.
Never? Even when the first album came out and you had...
Never did solo show. Never performed solo with a band, or you know, or acoustically, individually. No, I'm a miserable guitar player. And so I've never done it. And he goes, yeah, let's do it. And so, because he had a big European tour planned for March and April. He was going to do 30 shows in Europe. And he said, then I'm taking May off, and I'll get the band together, we'll learn your tracks, and we'll do a solo show. And I talked to the guy at the Coronet, and I said, Mike, his name's Mike Flanagan. And I said, Mike, I want to do, he goes, sure, no problem. And I said, you don't have to pay me, you know, I just want to do a solo show and do these new songs. Great. Okay, no problem. And so then what? A week later, the whole thing comes crashing down. And, his tour's canceled. The show here is canceled. There's no more concerts. There's no gathering. It's a social distance world.
Everybody's got the same story with that right now. It all came to a crashing halt. So, it's going to come back. I know it will, and I'm hoping to do, solo shows as well as new tube shows, and Now, the theatrical part of the show, the big, Pat and I, one of the things we had prepared to ask here was the whole thing about the theatrics of a tube show. I had seen the original Completion Backwards Principal tour years ago, and when we went to see the show back in October at Daryl's place there, I was expecting just a straight rock and roll show. I wasn't expecting the theatrical presentation. You guys did pretty much the same thing that I saw you do, many years ago. If you do, is that something that's really a tube thing? If you do something solo, would you do anything theatrical like that?
I don't know. I don't know. I've thought about it, and it's funny because I was talking to my wife about it. I'm going, do you think people are going to expect that? And she said, no, I don't. She says, I don't care what they expect. I want you to just go up there and sing. You have a wonderful voice. I want you to tell stories and sing your songs and have a great band behind you and have a great show. And so, at this point, I don't know what I'm going to do. There might be some things. It might, it might be stories and poems and singing, and I just, at this point, I can't even think that far down the line.
Well, let's hope we all get to see it and figure it all out. Let's hope that's
well, I hope so. I would You know, it's been. You know, I'm going insane. You know, instead of getting to do shows and going out and touring and bringing the joy to those people, I'm pulling weeds in the backyard.
So I'm doing in platform booths and video on the internet. You know?
Wayne Lou pulling weeds. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and you know, I'm taking my dog I can't even take my dog to the park because the park's closed. So we're walking up to, you know, the street. We live in the hills, and you know, we're walking up the hill with the dog, and you know, oh God, it's just, I'm going crazy. I am going crazy, and you know, we had, you know, like we were saying earlier, you know, California opened up, you know, a while back, and too soon. And you know, and the parks were open, and the gym was open, and you know, restaurants were open, and then the whole thing came crashing back down. When, you know, I mean, I think I was just reading the New York Times this morning, and we're at 4 million cases.
I know. And California actually passed New York now. California.
I know. I mean, and we've got a pretty responsible governor. Governor Newsom.
I know.
Very responsible. But the people in California, I mean, they're just in the park, and they're not social distancing. They're not wearing their masks. They're not doing anything. And it's just...
crazy.
It's very frustrating. Very frustrating.
It's frustrating. It's crazy. But we will get through this. Okay, guys? We're going to get through it.
Yeah.
You heard it straight from Fee Waybill. We will get through this.
We will get through this. We'll be back. Tubes will be back. I will be back. You know, back on the Hudson River.
There you go.
I was gonna ask. You know, I guess that answers one of the questions there. One of the bullet points I had was how long do you hope to go on and keep on going forward and doing this stuff? I guess that means indefinitely. If you say you're bored being home and you're dying to get back out.
I am not quitting. I'm not going anywhere. And I mean, you know, my voice is still. I mean. The players in the tubes are ridiculous. I mean, Roger's better than ever. Prairie is incredible. My voice, we don't even lower the key like so many bands do because, you can't sing the high notes anymore. No, we don't do that. I still can sing it all, and, you know, as proven on the record there, I'm still singing the high notes, and my voice is. I'm so fortunate to have a strong.
You're very blessed. You're very blessed because that's.
I'm very blessed to still have a strong voice, and I'm still singing in the car, and you know, driving down the road, singing and yelling in the car, and you know, Richard's got a new record actually called Limitless. And there's a lot of, I mean, his records were always the ones that I would warm up to, you know, when we go do a gig and we're sitting in the hotel room the night before the show and I'm sitting there with my earbuds in, you know, playing Richard Marx songs and just singing because our voices are kind of, you know, about the same range-wise. And so his new record is great, and so I'm listening to his record. We're driving down the road listening to... I'm Just Another One Down is the first record on the track on his record, and it's a great song. And you know, it's not a guitar-driven rock record like mine, but it's, you know, he's a great singer and has made me such a better singer. You know, it's funny. Like I said, we know each other so well that he can, you know, when we're in the session, you know, he can say, no, you can do that better. No, do this. You can do this better. Sing it again. Sing it again. And then he'll know when that's the one. That's the take right there. Okay, that's the take, and he'll mark it down. And
I'm glad that you actually brought that, Fee, because it says that pretty well in the press release that Richard pushed me to a new level of songwriting and singing, and there you have it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't know what I would do without him. There's nobody that's ever gotten this kind of a performance out of me. Even Foster, you know, even David Foster way back when, you know, and he was a grinder, you know, but you know, he didn't know me. He didn't know what I was capable of,
and no, but he certainly knows a good voice when he hears it.
Yeah, that's why it's so great to be able to work with Richard, and he's been helping a lot too. You know, he's been tweeting and Instagramming, and he's a social media king. You know, people love him, and he is so funny on Twitter. He's just so funny. He can be a comedian. And so I'm really grateful to him and to all of the guys that have played on this record. And I'm just so proud of this accomplishment. If you get the CD, I have a little dedication to Richard in there. And,
good.
And it's just, I'm just, I think this is... I think this is my proudest achievement in my whole career so far.
Very cool.
Well, it's certainly a great album, and we look forward to playing it on both of our radio shows. You hit it out of the park. Our theme is we're classic rock, but we added a tagline in redefined. Redefined meaning we can play whatever we want. We create our own playlist, and my show is keeping new music alive on the radio airways. So I am so psyched and playing a lot of your new tracks, and I know we're over our time limit here. So we don't want to hold you up and hold somebody else up, but we hope you enjoyed the chat as much as we have, Fee. We can't.
Oh, absolutely, man! It was great. I love the city, and I love coming back east. And my wife and I love it. We love Sting. We always stay on the Upper East Side, and we go to Broadway. And I love Broadway. We've seen Hamilton twice now, and if I had my druthers, I would play the King of England in Hamilton, and it's going to happen. I'm going to manifest it into reality, just like the completion backward principle. Imagination creates reality, and I will be on Broadway before I die, before it's long. I'm staying alive until I can do it.
Well, that's great to hear. Well, congratulations to you. We're going to track down Richard now. Now he told us he has a new album out. We got to track him down and find out about his new tracks and thank him and congratulate him on working with you and putting this great track out. Much success, Fee, with the record, and again, congratulations to you and Richard. And we can't thank you enough for your time, and we look forward to seeing you into Big Apple or back maybe at Daryl's house and back on the road, my friend.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Thank you, John. I appreciate it, both of you.
Thank you, Pete. Good luck.
Thank you, Fee. Bye now.
Speak to you again. Have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.